things are changing, and they're changing really fast. I know you've heard that a lot, but it's actually true. With artificial intelligence, deepfakes, and the rest, there's a potential for good, a lot of potential, but we've also seen the potential for nefarious activities. Just recently, a company in Hong Kong was scammed $25 million because finance staff jumped on a call with who we thought was the chief financial officer and other members of staff, and an approval was given for $25 million to be moved, and turned out all of the other people in that meeting were not real. They were AI generated of sorts. So you just wonder, what is real and what is not real? You know, the line is getting thinner by the day. Well, we have someone to help us through all of this. Fisayo Fosudo, we team up with him this morning to understand, you know, this new terrain, really. Good morning, Fisayo.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Morning Brief.
Thank you. Happy to be back again.
Honestly, we were just having this conversation about how things are really changing, and I mean, we sound like a broken record at that point. But let's get right into it. How do I identify deepfakes? I just want to get into it straight away, because I'm going to jump on a Zoom call maybe after this show, and I want to be sure that the people I'm seeing are really my people.
Yeah.
But you can give us a background as to, you know, how we got here first.
So I think I would like to go to the basics again. And if you look at AI, artificial intelligence, essentially, it is basically a computer or robot, or the ability of a computer or robot to perform the functions that a human being would typically perform. It is the functions that are typically done by or associated with a human being. And this is a computer doing this thing now. And we're having studies being done day by day on stuff like this. Do you know that today, I was watching this YouTube video by Azara's King, Tristan Harris. There is technology that can scan your brain now and basically read your mind and know your thoughts. And AI is like aiding this thing. There's also technology that can know what you're thinking and display a picture of what you're thinking. Yes, this is today with MRI, like the stuff that scans our brains. They basically notice a pattern. They trained the AI though to understand these patterns. But I'm taking it too far. Like today we're having stuff with AI. There isn't AI to scam people now. And the funny thing is that happened to me. Like, yes, somebody has used my image.
You, the technology expert.
And likeness. No, not. I was not the victim.
But you were used. Your image was used.
They used my image and likeness to make a call to someone. But thank God the person was also tech savvy, and the person reported to me because they were trying to book me for something. They were trying to pay for, maybe I should talk about their brand or something. They sell phones, and the person reached out. The fake account They tried actually. You know that thing where when they send you an email, it is L instead of I. You know that thing, and it will be all caps, so you cannot know. How can you tell the difference between a small letter L and a capital letter I when it is one stroke? So the person actually tried. They did a good deepfake, but it was not good enough. The lips weren't moving well enough, so the person kind of knew, like in the middle of the call, because they were charging. The reason why the person knew was because they were charging a small amount of money. So it was like, no way he started charging this. So he sent it to me, and I was like, nah, this wasn't me, obviously. And it was so, you know how on WhatsApp calls it to be low quality? So it was actually almost there. So it was, kind of convincing, might convince someone else, but this person was tech savvy, thankfully. So I would always say, like, the first thing I would say is education first. Know about this thing. This technology is not one that you should technically attack per se. I think, you know, when streaming rose, before it was record sales, now it's streaming. People are streaming music now. People were attacking streaming because it was going to affect record sales. There was way more money to be made in record sales compared to streaming. Now it's only platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, and all these guys that control streaming. And this is the same thing that's happening now with AI. Just yesterday, there was like a big thing that was launched in the developer space. And AI is basically coming for developers' jobs now, I think. But people will say no, because our printers are not working well. We cannot really find everything we want with a Google search yet. But this is the worst that this technology will be today. It is getting better. Like there's Sora coming that can create a very realistic looking video. There's HeyGen that we were talking about before we started. So basically, educate yourself, know what all these things are, so that you are ahead of the game. Know the good side, know the bad side. Always watch shows like this, follow thought leaders that are talking about AI, but make sure you are staying ahead of the game so that you know what is real and what is not. You can actually anticipate that.
So maybe you get us through the basics, because when monies move, the way they move, it's no longer a joke.
Yeah.
Kayode is still calculating some of his money right now. I don't want to reveal what happened. So maybe walk us through the very basics, because from the video we saw where an entire system was hacked, literally, that's the way I want to put it. And so what are the basics we should look out for? Because it's almost like a retrogression. So if we don't have physical meetings again, if we have to now be afraid that Zoom is no longer Zoom, that means we resort to physical meetings. I'm also expanding that conversation to say, what would not happen to admitting evidence in courts, like videos and audio? So posit it around this.
Yeah. I think it still comes back to the education aspect, understanding what this technology can do today, because there's stuff it cannot do. It's not that good yet. It is not that good yet. This particular case of this scam is phishing, is basically using personal information against you. This is the thing that happens already. It's like the quote-unquote Yahoo. This is what already happens, but this time around there's just AI to help it. So AI is basically creating a sort of realistic looking image and likeness of this person. And because calls are not, like, the quality is not so great, it will look pixelated on purpose so that it looks like it is poor network or something, even though the quality is not that great yet, but they can use it today. But in this case, it's phishing. And for this, I would always say, like, whenever you receive an email, always check the sender name, always check the links. Don't just click links from your email, because this is how they can compromise a big system. It's just one person that it takes. They can just get on a network and download something to your computer. But whenever you receive an email, check the sender. This has happened to me multiple times. People, like, they will clone Instagram, for instance, and say, oh, we want you to get verified, but I'm already verified. But they'll say, they want you to get verified. If I wasn't verified, I might be tempted to click that link just to get verified. They asked me to enter my password with an already cloned, very well. With AI now, there are AI tools that can perfectly clone a website. So you can just put your password there. It sends it to the person's inbox, and you're logged out of your account. You've lost your account. Anybody can enter your account and use it to scam someone else, basically. So always cross-check. Always, be checking everything. Be paranoid now if you're not paranoid.
So as an individual, individual level now, it appears that this is personal now. If you want to talk into it, maybe your friends should know you a little bit more, because someone said something. I want you to speak to it. Someone said something that made sense to me.
Okay.
Someone said, if you are on my account, let's say Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, and you see something, somebody maybe hacks my account and drops something that you're wondering, how could Jeff do this? The person said, I don't have a problem with the hacker. I have a problem with the person who believes in me. You get the gist?
Yeah, I get it.
I don't know whether that was a question or a comment, or whatever it is.
I think,
okay, go ahead, Fisaya.
I think discernment is not just for... we shouldn't totally blame the victim of this thing. I think discernment is something that everybody should take very seriously now. We should actually try and understand, because we're entering a very, very digital age now. You've heard of the first web, the Web 2.0, which is social media, and now there's decentralization, and all these things are coming very, very quickly. It's not stuff that we expect. And the thing is, it always happens slowly but surely. It will happen now. We're seeing all these small changes now. It's slow, but by the time it happens as if it is all of a sudden, but the signs were always there. So all of these things now, like I said, this is the worst these technologies will get, but they are getting better. There's increase in the way GPUs are processing all this data. They're becoming sharper, they're becoming clearer. So I think it is just to, again, it still circles back to the first point, is education, staying ahead of the game, understanding what these technologies can do now, and the kinds of technologies that there are now. And I think another thing I'll also say is beware of all these investment scams, because again, this is something that has happened to followers of mine. People have, I recently found out that there was a Telegram group with my name that has 2,900 subscribers.
Wow.
And they were giving investment advice to people. They were giving them trading tips, quote unquote. Somebody sends me a message and says, God punish your papa. Why you scam me? And I'm like, how? He said, you took all the money in my account. They were in this group. Basically, what this person was saying was, you send me your account details, I will trade for you, and I will make you profit, and I will put the money back into your account. The person sends their password. In this group chat, I don't know, I reported the group on Telegram. If you find anything like this, always report it. So the person sends them their account details. The person just goes into their account, transfers the money in the account to their own account.
Whoa.
And that's just like a sad thing. And I try to explain to the person, like, see, this is not me. This is what happened. And I asked the person to walk me through how they even got there in the first place. They saw an account. Again, it was a clone of my account, but it wasn't verified. And I was always saying it like, please check that it is a verified account you are talking to. Always check that it is like the actual person. Again, try and double check, just cross check and make reference. Just be sure that this is who you are communicating with. And this can happen, at an individual level or a corporate level. If the person had verified, they wouldn't have fallen victim to this. And I don't know how somehow 2,900 people entered a fake group that had my name. Like, it's...
Don't blame us. Okay, we're trying to make money.
No, I think it's a question of they just trust you. This is Fisayo. He understands tech. He understands business.
And besides that, he has a name.
Yeah.
So people just normally...
So it's credit to you that you have a name people respect, but somebody hacked it.
Yeah. Well, for me, first of all, I thought about that video and I thought, if I were a member of this company, that's my salary for a number of months. But really, it looks like there's more danger, with the risks of AI. You talked about streaming earlier on, and what went through my mind was, for those in the creative industry, their intellectual property could also be at risk, of artificial intelligence, of those who could clone it and begin to resell, really. And it looks like the risks outweigh the benefits. I'd like you to speak to that if you disagree. And in addition to that, can legislation deter some of these risks?
Yeah, I think this is a good point because in terms of this streaming one in particular, there was a time when many platforms came out and basically you could clone anyone's voice. I mean, now you can actually clone. I paid for a service where you can clone any voice. I was just trying to test it out. I was curious, and you can. Most major artists now, you can clone their voice. You can literally make a song in someone else's name. It would sound like the person, and you can stream and possibly make money. Of course, this is like intellectual property theft, and they are actively fighting against this. So I spoke somewhere, and they were talking about this legislation. And I was fortunate enough to speak to the the Secretary of State for the United States, and he also talked about this specific technology, this thing. And I feel like AI right now is still, again, like I said, is not perfect. And in all these discussions that we had, everybody is careful with the way they are going with, should we regulate this thing? Because you don't want to hamper, you don't want to affect the technology too much. This technology is also good because it can help a lot of things. AI can help in the fintech space, which is growing very well in Africa. Basically, we have some of the biggest unicorns, and AI can actually help in this case. AI can help with health. It can help with education. It can help with a lot of these things. You don't want to spoil that, but at the same time, just like I said, people need to know, people need to be aware of all these challenges. They need to be aware of all these problems. They need to be aware of all these situations. They need to actually try and listen more for all these things. We can say that it might not be easy to find out information about it today because now we don't even know what is real or what is fake. You can see something that will just come out and you cannot really tell. But again, before you share anything, before you forward any message, maybe you want to confirm first. Check, verify the source before you share. This is even without AI. This is like a conversation that's separate from AI, like verifying information before you reshare it. But like I said, in terms of legislation, I think it is a very dicey aspect of it. You don't want to destroy the technology, but at the same time, you don't want to let the technology freely roam and spoil things. But what I also know is most of these platforms, they make you verify something. Like the last time I tried to do it, they'll say, make sure that this is your voice. You have to tick. And I'm sure that when you try to do this, they probably ask you to tick that this is my voice. I consent that this is my voice. So in case they are going to sue anyone, you consented, and if it is not you, you are the victim. It's not like the platforms or anything. So most of these platforms are putting all these checks in place. Yes,
and it's interesting to see what's playing out in the U.S. This is with TikTok anyway, because the U.S. believes there's some security risk with China. So there are different dimensions to this, as you said. So it's a very tricky balance. But it just brought something very interesting to mind. I remember as far back as 30 years ago, when we still had analog telephones, you had people tapping phone lines then. You know, it wasn't AI then, but you had people trying to bypass phone lines. So when they clip your line, there's a way you can tap it to make a call. Gen Zs might not understand, no shades here. But the point is, we've always had people trying to circumvent technology, no matter how crude or advanced it is. Yesterday, the EFCC put out a statement that they arrested young Nigerians for suspected internet fraud. And we see this arrest from time to time, dozens of them. Some of them, if they're convicted, may have been responsible for some of these scams that we're talking about. So this is a tricky question. Would you advise that now that we've come to a point where we realize we cannot turn back the hands of time, do you propose a partnership? You know, learning from the
Yahoo boys.
Took it right out of my mouth, such that you can better understand. I mean, someone was arrested for fabricating guns, allegedly recently. And so people were saying, how about you employ that person, use that skill for good to that extent? So is that something you might also want to propose, such that...
No.
Am I thinking like a criminal here?
No. I think we've heard, I've heard, I don't know how true, but I've heard cases that people learn from. Like, you can actually bring someone that has done something sort of extraordinarily bad, and you can actually learn from the person. Yes, it's possible.
Criminal minds.
Yeah, I feel like it's possible. But I would say, like, for every technology, there will always be bad actors and good actors. Like, there will always be bad actors regardless, because it's new, because of how new it is, because of how novel it is, basically. People will always try to find a way to scam or make money from that thing. It's kind of like an arbitrage opportunity. If you know that you can buy maybe a currency at one price and sell it at a higher price, and you can do that over and over again, it's easy to take that chance and do it. So I feel like it is a new technology. It is something that you can use because most people don't understand it. So do you understand? Because most people do not understand it, you can actually use it against them. But what if a lot of people understand it? Yeah. I think that if we're going to look at the positive side, it should be championing education, championing the stories about this thing, championing the information that surrounds all this technology.
So it should be in our school curriculum.
Maybe.
If it isn't there already, I'll be shocked if it's not there already.
Yeah. I feel like probably the mid to higher level education, they should understand what this technology is capable of, and maybe how they can leverage it, how they can actually use it. Because today, I think it is still in a very, very, it's not yet perfect, it's not yet there. It is very interesting now. But I feel like when it gets there, it will not be interesting anymore. It will be concerning. Right now, it's concerning because, yes, there are people that are trying to do, and by the time we find out, we realize, oh, this was AI. How could they not tell that this was AI? But we will get to that point where we cannot tell.
You know, it reminds me of Shaggy's...
But we cannot tell.
Yes, it will get to that point.
It's even getting scary the way you're saying it. It reminds me of Shaggy's song, It Wasn't Me, literally caught in the act, you're not seeing me, you can't see anything. I read something from the Bank of America, which I want you to speak to, in their own advice to how to identify, because we have to educate, as you said, at a personal level. It said, for the audio, listen for longer than usual pauses between words and sentences. The person's voice may also sound flat and lifeless. If it sounds off, it is likely. For the video, it says, watch for long periods without blinking, patchy skin tones and poor lip syncing. Jaw lines can sometimes reveal flaws, such as blurriness or flickering around the edge of the face. Ears may also appear completely different from skin color from the face. Maybe makeup people will do. So I don't know.
So the funny thing is, I watched a documentary recently about how football matches are filmed. And it was shot in another language. But the creator of this documentary shot it and used AI to translate it and into English. And it was the best thing I've ever seen, because there was no English documentary that I could find, that was free at least, about how all these matches, like the total logistics of shooting a football match. That's a very good use of this technology. But what we could notice is around the mouth area, the beards would be pixelated because it's just not perfect there. Like if a movement of the head, it would just, you can tell. Like I said, now it's not perfect, but I feel like when it is perfect, it will be concerning, because the same way I could watch a documentary that showed me every single thing I could know about a football match and made me understand, it's the same way you can get on a Zoom call and it would be sort of lifelike, where the person's mouth is moving very well. So you can tell all these things now. Just take note of the mouth area. Like the Heigen we talked about, they've been used for translating many international commentaries, speeches in foreign languages, and they are near perfect. They're actually almost accurate. So you can, that's a good use case. But again, just taking note of that area. In the audio, we'll notice that sometimes the voice would just not match. There are some things that will just not match the pitch of the person. So that is also a case now. Adobe has some tools that you can use to reduce noise in a video. When we tried that in the studio, we realized that it doesn't sound like us. It sounds too clean. But then again, some people like it. So it is like, what is the solution? Because it is good. It is actually very good. We cannot even tell, and it feels like it was recorded in the studio. And at this point, it's like, why does this exist? I remember when there was Adobe Vocal. It came out many years ago. They had to shut it down. Basically, when you're editing something, imagine you made a mistake. You recorded a video and you were editing something. In Vocal, you could type in, let's say, I walked my dog, for instance. You wanted to say, I walked my dog, but you want to say, I walked my pup or something. You can actually go there and write it. You just change pup to DOG, and it will say it the exact same way you said it. That was very concerning then, but now we have even worse than that. And that was then. They had to shut it down. Now it is free for almost everybody, or you can pay like $10 or $20 to access it. So yes, it is accurate. Like, always check for the mouth movement. Always check, listen to the audio. If it is too clean, sometimes it might even be like fake, or if there are all those like dips at the end, especially at the end of a sentence, it might not end very well. So that can also be something to check, to look out for.
Oh.
Now, you said two scary things. First of all, at the start, you talked about a technology that can read one's mind, that has been developed. Yeah. And then you said very soon we may not be able to tell the difference between artificial intelligence and the real. And that speaks to the mindset of some people that have met who would rather not embrace internet technology. You don't find them anywhere on social media, and they say it is safety. It is for reasons of being safe, because particularly for politically exposed persons, maybe not even politically exposed persons. You have talked about your own example, for instance. Your image has been used many times over for negative reasons. So if I choose not to embrace internet technology, not to participate at all, is it an obsolete thinking, or is it safety in the long term?
In 30 seconds.
I don't think it's obsolete. I think there's something to be said about privacy as well today. Try and limit the release of information about yourself online publicly, and maybe now even privately. Have you ever had a chat with someone and you saw an ad for the thing you were talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Has it ever happened to you before? I feel like that is even preliminary. Like sometimes, I remember I was in a room with people, I was talking about a visa, and I went online and I saw an ad for a visa. Basically, they are listening to us, our phones, and yes, if you don't know, they're actually listening. And what you're saying is, there's a database, and they know about you. They know. So publicly, try and limit what you are putting out that can be used against you. I think maybe just limiting what you put out. There's something to be said about privacy. I don't think it is totally archaic or like an obsolete thinking to put out, to not put out too much.
Right.
Maybe not totally ignoring it, but limiting what you're putting out.
You know, I'm tempted to touch you to be sure you're real. These days, you're not sure what is real. Oh, he's real.
He's
guys.
real.
He's real. Fisayo, thank you so much. Always a pleasure having you on the show. Fisayo is a specialist in mobile technology, video producer, and visual storyteller. You can find him on YouTube doing tech stuff and even heartwarming content as well. Fisayo.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
for having me.
The Morning Brief.
Thank you.
So you won't say we didn't help you, at least. So watch out, and watch out. We'll go on a quick break now. When we return, there's this heartwarming story of girls who have since gone viral dancing on social media. I bet you've seen that video. We'll have the mind behind all of that joining us in a couple of seconds. Stay with us.